Good late afternoon. Today is Monday, October 6th. We're trying this out to see how it works out. I did a morning weather, which is a little more truncated. I'll try to make it brief. So just, and then I'll get it out, try to get out before 9 a.m. And then that just gives you the models, right? And you go, okay, this is today. And then this weather is more like what we normally do, which is a bunch of nature snacks. We look at models. We don't. I hate to say ramble, but there is a little. I do ramble a little bit. And I was thinking today too. By the way, I just got out of the water, surfed with a good buddy of mine, Mark Hanley. Ocean Beach is I wouldn't call it unreal, but it's good. It's a good fall day. But something dawned on me. I go because my eyes I don't know if you can see them, but they're just red from a couple hours in the sun, couple hours in the ocean. And it's funny because I remember when I first started, even at Channel 50 back in the day up at Santa Rosa, people thought I was stoned all the time. Like, I don't smoke weed. I tried to like it, but I don't like weed. But people thought I was stoned. And I remember thinking, oh, it's because I'm surfing so much because my eyes were red. And so I realized, oh my God, that's why. Because for a while it was weird. I thought it was my delivery that people were like, oh, he's all, stony dude. But I realized, oh, it's because my eyes are just blown up with sun and wind and whatever. So kind of a kick out of that. And now the beauty of this is I don't know how I can tell you that story because I could never do that on TV, really, right? Not weird. Weed's legal, but you really couldn't really talk about it. It's legal. Like I was talking to Tolbert about that the other day, Tommy, and he does a podcast, KMBR guy, awesome dude, so funny. But I was like, because we'll drink beers during the podcast sometimes. But I go, well, we wouldn't smoke weed, right? I mean, of course, it makes for a lousy interview, but at the same time, we really wouldn't, right? You wouldn't. And when he was still on the radio, when it was illegal, we would drink beers in the studio. Not tons, but a couple. But why not light? I go, why can't we just light up a joint? Not that I wanted to, but it was more hypothetical. So muses. Okay, so it's a beautiful day. Temperatures today. Lots of 80s. San Francisco into the upper 70s, low 80s. Ocean Beach was in the mid 60s, upper 60s, low 70s. Temperatures today, beautiful fall day. Temperatures tomorrow, warmer. Okay, so here is that's Golden Gate Bridge right here. I think that's the gap. And then there's Alcatraz, and there's Angel Island, if you want. And then I can swing this camera around. It kind of gets a little squirrely. And you're looking all the way back that's Mount Diablo. Right, so you're looking at, is that Mount Diablo? Yeah, it is Mount Diablo. I guess I didn't realize you're looking towards the north kind of on this. I guess that's because we're further south. Oh, no, pardon me, that's Tampa. Jeez, that's, God. And then that's the Golden Gate Bridge, sorry. Let's see where Diablo, I think I can pick up Diablo here somewhere. There it is, obviously. So there's Mount Diablo looking due east right here. And that's a big one. And yeah, so nice day. So as we look at the weather going forward, what we're expecting is these are the high temperatures from today. And I'll try to hang on to them a little while. I'll come in close for the Bay Area right now. San Francisco is 80 degrees downtown. We're going to warm up tomorrow, next couple days. So today warmer, these temperatures. Tomorrow, warmer still, especially around the Bay. And then Wednesday and Thursday, a significant cool down. Like, not cold, but just kind of breezy. There'd be a little fire danger thing going on. I don't think we'll see any kind of issues because it's going to be breezy, not howling wind in the North Valley. Plus, we've had some rain, right? So we've had some rain. So hopefully that doesn't transpire. That's more Wednesday and Thursday. And then by Friday and Saturday, there's an opportunity for some rain showers, potentially, and maybe even snow up in the mountains. It's certainly up around Mount Lassen and Shasta. So temperatures, 80 degrees, 83 degrees downtown San Francisco. Looks like that's Mission Dolores. 80 degrees down on the Embarcadero. This is that time of year where Clayton is cooler than San Francisco. It's because the air's sinking. So when the air sinks, it warms. When air rises, it cools, about 3 degrees per 1,000 feet. It's just an average number, environmental lapse rate. Lapse in temperature as you go up, it cools. Well, the converse is true. When the air sinks out of a high which is often this time of year in the fall, it can be high fire danger if the high is strong enough. But when it sinks, it warms. It warms about 5 degrees per 1,000 feet. So if you're to go to the top of Mount Diablo, I wonder if we have a number for Diablo here. Let's yeah, I think we can. I wonder if no, I don't have a number up there. I was going to say, because Mount Diablo would be cooler, right? Because it's higher. but you're 4,000 feet. You're you would you would you would definitely experience more cooling up there. Anyway, you get the idea. Compression um, is a dynamic warming of the atmosphere, and it favors the coastal areas because they're the lowest lying. I know it's maybe a couple hundred feet below Walnut Creek or somewhere, and so that's enough to add a degree or two warmer because it's compressing it to San Francisco and Ocean Beach. I didn't explain that as well as I wanted to, but I think you kind of get. I've talked about it before. Okay, so you see the grains, and well, this illustrates it well too, right? So let's look at this. So if you look at the foothills, right, Sacramento Valley foothills, much cooler than when you get out here in the flatlands, right? Out in the flatlands. I think that sort of explains a little bit. So compressional heating, that's something that we're experiencing now. This can be really nasty fire danger. And it'll dry things out. The humidities get very low because it all warms at 5 degrees per 1,000 feet, but it also dries out rapidly to the air, and that dries out the vegetation and the soils. Reading today was 84, and like I said, San Francisco was 83 down in Mission Dolores. So we work our way south a little bit, see what Santa Cruz was. I'm trying to. I don't want to go over all these, but I also know it's important because these are the highs, or these are the highs as of. Oh heck, what time is it? It's 4:15 this afternoon. So essentially, it's about the daytime high number. They may be a little warmer in other places. So Santa Cruz was 79 degrees. Monterey was 79 degrees. Capitola was 70 degrees, and just a really nice day all the way down to Southern California. Right, and you see those 70s, beautiful weather. And again, it's that fall weather that we've talked about. It's really awesome everywhere, and you can also pick out that high pressure. So that's the fog. The fog would like to be here, but the north winds are strong. The dynamics are fairly strong, so you can see it chunking out the marine layer. And the fog, I think it's going to be a little stronger tomorrow, hence the warmer daytime highs tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be the warmest day of the week, and then, like I said, cools off Wednesday and Thursday. So, yeah. So this is, again, what I'm doing here is a little different, right? We're doing this, trying to do some in the mornings, just get you guys going, because I can talk about California and all the coolness about it and all the things we talk about that I think we all like, actually, but it's not useful to you guys that are trying to get your weather and run. And I kind of want to be useful. So that's what I'm trying. I'm going to try to do a quick one in the morning, 5 to 8 minutes, hopefully, get that out, and then come back in the evening around 4 o'clock and issue another one that will take you through the night into tomorrow. So when you wake up, and this will work well, I think, when there's real weather, when there's active patterns moving through. Right now it's kind of, it's active, but it's not rain or snow or anything. Up in Lake Tahoe, Palisades, Tahoe, beautiful shot. Good friend Bill Hudson works up there. If you ever go to Palisades, go find Bill Hudson in his office and tell him you love my channel. Because I try to get Bill to watch my channel. He watches it, but he thinks he knows everything, right? So it's like, if you see him, just go, hey, dude, Bill's channel's awesome. I can't believe it. He's got a little name tag on. You'll know him. You might even know him already. He was in Kitzbühel, he was an Olympic downhiller with a bunch of, back in the day, it must have been the late 80s. But anyway, here's Mount St. Helena. This is the Napa Valley. Temperatures in the Napa Valley today were in the 80s as well, as you know. This is our beautiful state. We're just kind of doing a little cavalcade of live cameras before we get to the models. Here is Lake Tahoe, South Lake Tahoe. Beautiful day there. And then Pasadena, temperatures in the 70s there, low 80s. Pasadena, beautiful city. I am going to make a point of going there. After we talked yesterday, I don't think I've ever been to Pasadena. And it's an interesting, very interesting community. And just sort of socioeconomic, because there's a lot of high finance stuff going on in that area, and a lot of the big farmers in the Central Valley, like J.G. Boswell and those guys, kind of had places in Pasadena. It was sort of like they were farmers, but they were more like gentleman farmers. They had tons of land. Anyway, it's a whole nother story. That's a great book, King of California, J.G. Boswell's story. The family's awesome. He gets a lot of heat because he was, you got to read the book. The book's fascinating. It's about water resources and the whole bit. So here is King of California. Here is Ocean Beach as it sits now from Mount Tamalpais. Ocean Beach, like I said today, it felt like it was, I would say it was easily 73 degrees right in there. And then let's see what we got here. I thought that was interesting. These are the forecast highs for tomorrow. Warmest day of the week. So Los Angeles stays at 76. San Diego and the southern parts of California, upper 60s, low 70s. Monterey, 74. More offshore wind tomorrow. And so we'll see, probably shouldn't see any fog. And then by tomorrow afternoon, evening, I suspect the winds are going to kick up. So these are the highs for tomorrow, which is Tuesday, right? These are the highs for Wednesday. So there's the cooling begins, and that cooling is going to come in the form of kind of northwest winds coming down the valley. So we're going to see breezy conditions. So normally that would prompt a low, maybe a fire weather watch or something. I think because of the rain, some places up in north of Chico, Redding, Paradise, over an inch of rain, 2 inches of rain over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. So fuel moistures are better. We'll see how that goes. I wouldn't be surprised if they did issue a fire weather watch at some point on Wednesday night and Thursday, but it's low grade. In other words, I'll tell you when it's going to be something to really worry about. We always worry about fire, but I just know that the nature of this job and the nature of media is to get your attention by telling you it's going to be high fire danger, right? And talked about the PTSD folks that I've known over the years, and I learned this the hard way, really, because I learned that I didn't realize, I didn't understand PTSD when it comes to fires, but it's very real. So when you do, if you're a YouTuber or something like that, and you're trying to get views and likes, and you blow up fire danger, really all escalates this week. Yeah, I guess it escalates a little bit, but you're creating concern for people who just really don't need that. So I will try to be as straightforward. If I was, you'd know if I was worried, I'd say I was worried. I'm not worried. This is the 500 millibar vorticity, and a pretty good ridge of high pressure. So I'll put the ridge in. Ridge is here. Trough is here. Pardon me. Ridge is here. There's a trough here. Okay. This ridge, right there, that umbrella, is kind of stays put until this low kicks in. So keep your eye on that, the low, and you'll see, okay, so nice. This is tomorrow morning, beautiful, like today. Still nice, actually. Little vorticity center goes through. And then tomorrow evening, this gets close. And that's going to increase the pressure gradient, and that pressure gradient is going to increase the winds more onshore or southwesterly. And that will begin the cooling in earnest. And then this low kind of spins offshore, and see it kicks in here, right? That if there's fuel around, moisture, that's going to trigger showers. So for sure you're going to hear showers in the forecast on Friday night, Saturday, and this Sunday, and it could impact your weekend. Well, it would impact your weekend if it rains Saturday. None of it, and you'll see this from the sea level pressure surface map, none of it's high grade stuff in terms of heavy rain, but you may not want to have a wet weekend in October because we expect the weather to be nice. This is a inside slider here on October 14th. That would bring snow to Lake Tahoe. Not low, but lower elevation snow. So, yeah, there's a big ridge right there. Look at that. See, can you see it? Right there. So that, again, I'm in fantasy land now. I'm just playing around. And then you see this. That thing's kind of gnarly. See, that's the cutoff low. This is on the 15th, Wednesday, October 15th. But look what it does. It pulls another vorticity maximum in. And then it starts to gain speed and energy. That's interesting. And then look at that. Oh, geez. Yeah, you don't want that to happen because that would be thunderstorms, in the central coast area, and that would be October 19th. But again, cutoff lows, I would bet that that's not going to happen exactly like that. So, and again, it's so far down the road. Cutoff lows, the models do as well as they can, but cutoff lows are difficult to track. So here's the sea level pressure. Dashed lines represent thicknesses. The straight lines represent isobars and gradient, pressure gradient. So the dashed lines are temperature. The higher the numbers, the thicker the atmosphere, the warmer the atmosphere. The lower the numbers, the heights, the cooler the atmosphere. So you're going to have lessened heights to the north, higher heights to the south. It's kind of confusing, but all you need to know is, well, we all need to know a lot, but you can see the pressure gradient here. The winds blow across the lines like that. Today they're blowing the other way because it's a high pressure zone, and they will tomorrow too. So here we are. Tomorrow's like today, and then we get to Wednesday morning. Now you see those dash lines show up. That's that cooling we picked up earlier on some of the forecast products. So big, and then there's that system. See the dash line. So those are all being advected. That just means the wind is going to blow. It's not a strong wind, but it's going to blow that cooler, lower thicknesses, cooler air in our direction. So here we are Friday morning, right? So it's just poised offshore. It looks kind of awesome. It's wrapped up pretty good, but it doesn't really have moisture plume. Now that'll be interesting to see if it does. If that has moisture, that's gonna trigger some showers. Right now the moisture, like not much. In Southern California, you see some subtropical moisture. That could be some big thunderstorms for southeast California. This is all on October 11th, Saturday. So this is next weekend. The time is up here, you guys. It's 12Z. This is the model when the model run came off. That's the type of the model. This is the time, which is essentially 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning on Saturday morning. It's like 7, 8. It depends if you're in daylight savings or not, but it's about 8 hours difference between that. But I think the main thing to look at would be October 11th. That's the number. That's kind of, you're in that day because we're out so far we don't have to pinpoint. So we'll keep an eye on it. I know. I know. I'm just looking for it there. That's interesting, huh? I wonder if that's that low we were looking at. I think it is. See it? Yeah, it's wrapped up. Okay. So what's the plan? Tomorrow, warmer. Next day, cooler. Next couple of days, cooler. Weekend, a little bit in questions, especially the North Bay. Scattered showers are a real possibility. This is the North American model. This is the forecast highs for today. What I'm showing you is just red. So you see these numbers like 86, 87 in Sacramento, 81 up in Redding, Bakersfield 86. I'm just showing you how it's going to cool down. So that's today. Watch what happens tomorrow. Warmer. Now it's not a big heat up, but here we go. So there's 0Z, which is about 4 in the afternoon. So you can see it. So 91, is that 91 in Redding? Yeah, that'd be 91 in Redding. Or is it? Can't read it. 85 in Red Bluff, 89 in Sacramento. So some upper 80s, low 90s. The hottest day of the week. And then watch what happens the following day, which you'd expect some heat. But that's that wind comes up, the thicknesses drop, and these temperatures come out of the 80s and end up in the upper 70s, low 80s, and cooler along the coast. So I'm just proofing out what we talked about in terms of the model. And then that's interesting. How much cooler it is on Thursday. So this is Thursday afternoon. And you can see again where the reds are gone. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, cooler. Yeah. And then I was looking earlier too. I was worried about the winds. This shows some surface winds here. Let's see I'm just backing up to see how the model's handling it. Not too bad. So the winds aren't coming up. That was that fire danger concern we had. So the big map, there's the parent low, there's the big ridge of high pressure. There's the trough, and there it goes. Subtropical moisture working its way into northern Mexico, and then this stuff's you can trace the trajectory because the jet stream's doing this. So this jet stream right in here is going to try to grab that moisture and push it on out, which will cause problems for other people and will hopefully move out of the area and give California a bit of a break. These are the watches and warnings for tonight, and they're basically cold weather stuff, freeze warnings, frost advisories. So nothing really. Alaska's got some stuff going on. Let's see what their deal is. Actually, I really didn't check it this morning. So, is it heat? Morning. Strong winds. Across the Bering, 55 to 65 miles an hour. It's a big wind. Wind advisory. Okay, so they got a lot of wind. They got weather in Alaska. Let's back it up a little bit. Just do one more check. Let's check out the grain. Sometimes if it's too warm, so the coastal flood warning in effect. Why are you guys coastal flood warning? What's going on up there? Coastal flood warning in effect from 7 a.m. Wednesday to 4 a.m. Friday. Water levels rising 4 to 6 feet above the normal high tide line. Arctic coast. Numerous roads will be closed. Water levels. Precautionary. Peak water levels will arrive late. High tide. Got big tides. Big tides. I guess I should ask. We got big tides in San Francisco today. So that's sort of like a coastal flood advisory, but those are big numbers. I mean, when we get peak tides, they go, they get up to 6, 7 foot, even a little more sometimes. But those numbers in Alaska, right, above the, like 2, 3 feet above the regular numbers. These are the forecast eyes for tomorrow. Okay, so yeah, and you can pick out the jet stream as well. Okay, where's it? Let's see, ridges here. Warm, warm, warm. Milder. See how this separates the 74 from the 90, right? That's a big temperature difference over a short difference, so it's much cooler air above the jet stream. All right. Okay. My eyes, check out the eyes now. They're just banging. I surfed okay today. I hadn't surfed the beach in a little while, so I was a little squirrely. Fun waves, but it's just kind of like I pulled off on it. I backed off on a couple, which kind of bums me out a little. Like, you probably would have made it, but might not have, and they were sizable enough that I thought my old crinkly body doesn't need to get hammered. But yeah, it was fun. I'm gonna go tomorrow too. Okay, so below average temperature starting on October 12th, and let's see, rainfall. Below average rainfall starting on October 12th. So that'll be interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. Earthquakes. They're happening all the time. That's why we do this. This is the last 24 hours of earthquakes around the planet. This is the last 24 hours of earthquakes above a 2.5 in our zone, and we've been pretty busy, right? I think that's pretty recent, actually. So, and this doesn't show microquakes, but the twos are pretty small, So this is a 2.7 in Castaic. Let's check this one out. This is USGS. 2.5 Kettleman City, and then up by that Triple Point, Hayfork, 2.6. Okay. So actually, we've been looking at these every day. These, it's pretty quiet, truthfully, for how it's been. Let's try all values, all day, all values. Yeah, it's pretty quiet. And then you see, this is the microquakes. And so you look at, we just get a bunch. Look at that, Southern California. And then if you back out, it really does appear that we get almost as much as Alaska. In terms of just activity, it's just always moving, right? The plates are always moving. So don't want you to be scared. I just want you, let's be comfortable with it, right? We have earthquakes all the time. We have them all day, every day. Some are big, some are small. Many are micro, which we just showed. Here is the model for forecast. Swell is just tomorrow. And what's going to happen tomorrow is the winds. This is the beginning of the cool down. So you can look at the waves, but I was looking at the arrows. You see the arrows? They've clicked on shore by Wednesday morning. Those arrows are pointing in the direction of us. And they're pretty robust. That's a pretty robust wind speed. Let's see if I can pull wind speed off of this. Northwest, that's a swell. Wind speed 34 knots. Yeah, wow. Yeah, and that's a 34 knot wind. Out of the northwest, is it? Let's see, 34 knots winds. They don't give me a direction, but I can see that it's out of the northwest. So that's the change, and that's the cool down coming our way. Okay, let's get to the fun stuff. It's all fun, right? Love your thoughts and about what we're trying to do here. The main thing here is love of California, love of science, love of weather, love of the environment, and I'm trying to understand, trying to understand, so what's really going on in terms of the weather, because there's so many sources for weather now. I want you to get to the point where you can just roll these models on your own, or you can just turn the volume off and not listen to me, and just watch the jet stream and then watch the surface maps, and then, right? If you know thickness, Here's something I'll tell you. If you understand the thicknesses, and dare I say even the isobars, let's just say the thicknesses, you effectively know more than most television meteorologists. Yeah, I know. I'm not busting on them. It's just a fact. Most of them are reporters, and they're great communicators. They really are. But it's just like, but if you understand those ideas that the higher thicknesses are warmer because of thermal expansion, lower thicknesses, dashed lines, are cooler because it's cooler and the air presses down. So the elevation of 500 millibars at the top is different. It's one day we will go into it. Winds are kind of kicked offshore. They started to come back on shore earlier today. The swells, the sandbars, wasn't that stoked on the sandbars today. They were a little bit lined up, a little bit wally, right? They weren't really, but I think it's because all the water moving, a lot of tide change. Literally, I got here. I'll show you what I did. It'd be interesting if you guys are even around anymore. But so the tide was pushing this way. It was going out pretty rapidly. So literally, me and Mark spent like you mark a point. You try to because the current is the outgoing tide coming out the Golden Gate Bridge. That's big, 6 foot change. The current is trying to push you off of the sandbar. Sandbar is where you want to be to get waves. So literally, if you take a right, which I was taking, you'd end up way the hell down here, and then you would have to go paddle against the current all the way back up here to get here. If you're smart, like Mark was doing lefts a lot. I should have done lefts more. Left's not my thing though, man. Okay, so that was that. This is Halama, and then this is the low clouds and fog. So we found the fog. Remember that picture we showed you right here? There's Halama, and there's the fog, right? But we can do that. So that fog is being scrunched down the coast because of the offshore wind. Okay. And then this is a nice shot. This is first, I think this is the upper point at Malibu. River, there's a river that goes out there, and it probably been flowing for millennia, but you see all the river rock, they're rounded rocks. The sand comes in. That's why reef breaks or river mouths, and this is essentially, it's not a river mouth. Man, I guess it is a river mouth out front here, but most of it, the river's not that blowing out that much anymore. Well, maybe, yeah, but you basically have all this river rock left over from eons ago, and that's how you can tell. It was, they're rounded, right? The best. That's why Rincon's like that too. Nice rounded rocks, usually even a good indication of some kind of inflow coming out of the hills from rain runoff. Mount Shasta got some snow. Yeah, buddy, that's nice. Beautiful day up there. Mount Shasta today in the upper 60s. Beautiful day. And what do we got now? Dang, I was kind of bummed on this one. This is Whitney. Because I like showing you the big mountains, but I realized that the sun, right? Whitney got some snow the other day. You see the moisture. So the moisture is the air is being mechanically lifted up the west slope, and it just kind of gets high enough that condensation point is reached, and there's not much moisture in the air down here. It's very dry, I guess, is the thing you would take away. Because there are clouds trying to form because there is some moisture, but there's very, very little. I pulled this. This is supposed to be live. I think it is, but look how fat he is. Look how big he is. He is just, I don't think that's Chunk, who won the big fat bear contest, but that's a big fat bear, and he is barely moving. Like, I think he just opens his mouth. Look at him. He's like, yeah, he's just waiting for him to land on him. He's been there for about an hour. Pretty cool, huh? Oh, there he is. He's moving around. Huh. I wonder what that is. Is it just a fish? Or is that... That's a duck, maybe. Oh, it's a duck. Anyway, beautiful bear, brown bear, bigger. The brown bears are bigger than the grizzlies. Okay, and then Venice Beach. I got to go because I am out of time. Okay, I'll see you back here tomorrow morning.